Well, today showed a market improvement over the last couple of days. I actually got a few things done, as you can see here. This is the proof of concept or prototype or whatever for the thing that I'm going to use to try to cut the wire, or try to cut the glass. My thought process behind it is that I'm going to take the wire, wrap it around like so, put voltage across the wire, and I'll need to figure out a better way of securing it, but that's step 15, we're only on step 7. But yeah, I'll put the wire around that, put voltage across it, it'll get nice and hot. Once I'm confident the glass is nice and hot, it'll either melt, in which case I'll just lift the bulb off, or it'll become, superheated and then I can dunk it in water and it'll snap. Like those videos you see where people wrap string around the glass and soak it in acetone or whatever, and then take the string off and dip it in water and it makes the glass crack. But it doesn't crack very well. So I'm just looking something up real quick. Because I'm curious. Yeah, so acetone burns at about 850 degrees Fahrenheit, which I don't know how much that is off the top of my head in Celsius, but let's try to find out. 850 Fahrenheit to Celsius is going to be 454 degrees Celsius. My math is going to put this wire at about 1,000 degrees Celsius, which is, it's about 500 degrees short of the actual melting temperature of the wire. So it'll probably start to glow, but it's not going to melt. However, the glass that these bulbs are made out of softens at about 500 degrees and goes liquid at 800. So if I'm putting 1,000 degrees on it, I should be able to just cut through the glass with the wire, and that's the goal here. May not work, but, that's why I'm experimenting. So I actually feel pretty good about that today. Still not having a terrific amount of energy, but I had just enough to do this and record a video for it. So I did. That's over on the main channel, youtube.com/gadgetboy. If you want to go see that, that'll be going up tomorrow afternoon. Right about the same time as this vlog, actually, so when this vlog is up, that should also be up. What else do I have to say about today? That's an interesting thing. I might have to mess with that. There's a crimp thing there, and then there's a wire cutter thing there. I wonder if that would have worked for this. Like, I wonder. Pardon me while I play around with this thing. Like, will that make a nice flat edge? Oop. Yes, it does. It actually makes a lovely flat edge. So I'm going to do that on both of these because I don't like the sharp edge that's on both of them. Of course, I have to get it lined up correctly. So any other news that I had today? Oh, well, I got my hands on a copy of Resident Evil 2, which they've remade, which I'm very excited about. They're getting closer to my favorite game, Resident Evil Code Veronica X, which is probably, at least in my opinion, one of the best Resident Evil games. But my opinion is somewhat skewed because it was my first Resident Evil game, and it was also my first console game. And my introduction to console gaming, and Resident Evil by extension, was when I was in the military. There was this little club place thing that we could go to, and they had computers that you could play on, and console games that you could play on, and it was all free for service members. It was like just a rec room for active duty service members. So I went there a lot to play video games. Eventually ended up buying an N64 and putting it in my barracks room, which was not particularly popular with the drill sergeants, but there weren't any rules against it, so they couldn't make me not have it. But yeah, so, you know, CVX was my introduction to the Resident Evil franchise, and on a Dreamcast of all things. Unfortunately, if you wanted to save your game, you had to purchase your own memory card, and I didn't have a Dreamcast memory card, so every time I went back I had to start over until I got fed up one day, and on a day off I took a taxi to the mall there in Norfolk, and what was the name of that mall? I don't remember. But that was the day I bought myself a Dreamcast memory card and an N64, but I didn't buy the memory expansion with the N64, which was really bad because I bought Perfect Dark that day too. And Perfect Dark required that little red 8 megabyte memory expansion module that plugged into the front of the console underneath that little hatch. So I didn't have that, so all I could do was play the multiplayer levels. I couldn't play the storyline. So I did that for the longest time, making do with what I had until I made my way to MacArthur. That's the name of the place, the MacArthur Mall, to buy one of the memory expansions. And yeah, that was a lot of fun. I have some kind of fond memories of being in the military. I also have some not so fond memories, but I like to try to dwell on the fun parts. But aside from that, I really haven't been particularly productive today, aside from making this. So that's about all I have for tonight's update. The battery on my camera is about to die, so I will wrap this up, plug the battery in, and do my nightly ritual before bedtime stuff. So, yeah, pretty decent day today, I guess. See you all tomorrow. Bye-bye.